What's going on, guys? BladeZilla here, and today I've got a real cool one for you that sort of fell in my lap that I didn't actually go out of my way to grab, and a friend of mine out of Ontario actually offered this up to me to take a look at, so I'm pretty, you know who you are, pretty stoked on that, and wanted to take this out, take a look at it, and see what I thought of it. So this is the CKF Barm, and let's break into it. First of all, I also want to say I love CKF knives, how they're packaged. I wish every knife came in one of these little holsters, and they're just so convenient to move around on. COA. So we have the Alexey Konygin M398 or Dama. I believe the full dress is Dama, and tie Zerga tie, obviously on the full dress. And then hashtags, which is cool, and serial number 6. I will probably be throwing this one up on the site at some point, just so you guys know, so someone will get a cool video. And it comes with all these cool spares and extras, which is something CKF really likes to do. So love that it comes with this, but more than anything, I love the knife. So let's take a look at this guy and see what all the hype is about with this knife. And first and foremost, you can see there's a little mirror polished edge sticking up out of there with a little bit of a fingerprint on it. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool looking knife. And before we get started, I know that I always lose myself and get too far ahead, so normally that's a sign of being a little too excited. Check out the website BladeZilla.ca, where a lot of the knives featured on this YouTube channel are available for purchase. Just threw up some GTRs. Actually threw up an F95 from a Blade Show as well, which sold in about 5 minutes. But yeah, cool. There you go, BladeZilla.ca. And I've got a bunch of different CKFs currently in the store. I'm trying to think, what do I have there? Blavas. I don't know if I have a blue one anymore, but I think I've got a full tie, a couple Evos, and a bunch of the Echo knives. So there's lots of stuff going on in there. Really like them, and they're doing a really good value. So let's take a look at the knife, and we'll go through it kind of point by point, and let's obviously make sure there's no fingerprints, because this blade is just stunning. Oh. So first of all, M398 with a mirrored top edge. That is an exceptionally beautiful blade. It almost looks black. With the reflection of the camera lens, I guess it's kind of pointing at. You might be able to see me, I don't know. But you've got a hand-rubbed satin finish on it, and that looks terrific. Both sides, obviously, symmetrical. And then towards the inside here is usually where they put the serial number. I don't know if they did on this. But yes, they did. M398-6, so number 6. How frickin' cool is that? In hand, it's a big knife. 4-inch knife. So you know what? Let's just calm down. I'm getting a little too excited. So let's get a measurement on this. Take it slow. That's what she said. So here we go. 8 5/8. And I should also say I don't have a spec sheet for this. And I can't find any info on it online. I think it's a newer release. Given that I got number 6, I imagine they're going to be coming any moment. 8 5/8, so if I mess up any of the measurements, then that's why I'm basically trying to say that. 3 7/8 to the center of the choil, or 3 3/4. Well, 3 3/4 length grind, or maybe even more. That's a big knife, but still smaller than like an F95, so it's not that big. Handle-wise, it's big, 4 5/8 overall, so good size. In terms of, let's grab an F95 and see what one looks like in comparison. It's kind of a gold standard, right? Where is an F95 that isn't? There we go. Black versus, good enough. That's a Quantum, sorry, but same size. So there you go. Very similar size-wise, thicker handle. Looking at this knife, I already know a person who would love this, and you know who you are, Matt. Just based on kind of the ergonomics, that big sweep, full tie, cool blade. So that's the kind of knife that I wanted to compare that to. I will grab, just because they're made down the road, my Stang Pyrenees. I think this one's a V3, 2, something like that, which is actually pretty similar size-wise, but obviously a completely different level of finish and blade sweep, etc. But size-wise, very similar. So there we go on that. And you know what? Why not do a large Semenza? Everybody knows how big those are, and that should be a pretty cool size comparison there. So it's a big knife, but at the same time, it's still got that small town feel to it, if you know what I mean. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. Small town feel. In hand, let's take a look here. Fits nice. It's got some micro kind of jimping on the top of the blade here, if the camera wants to focus, which you know, feels good. It looks to be probably a 3mm blade, which, given the big belly on that drop point, you would think it would be a little thicker, but I'm guessing that's 3mm, so nice thin blade on this. It climbs up, so your thumb's got a bit of a rest if you do want to kind of lean into it a little bit. That is a nice little touch. And then pretty standard flat top down to the end. So very nice blade, but to me that mirror is, the mirror and the satin rub on this is stunning. Absolutely stunning. And then I'm kind of curious why they put that little spot in the blade there, that little break in it, that little hole. Must be part of the design, I don't know, because I don't see it being usable for flipping out or anything, because it is a flipper. Action-wise, very nice. Very smooth, not broken in whatsoever. Centering, perfect. Which is kind of what you'd expect from CKF nowadays. Now, one thing that would concern me with this is there's no pin to protect your finger in there. But, you know, tolerance-wise, I don't see that being an issue. There's still quite a big gap between the blade and my finger, so nothing's going to get in there. But I'm more worried about something getting in there like a coin in your pocket or a key that would kind of make its way in and perhaps scratch the side of the blade. So be mindful of that if you're putting it in your jeans or something. You have a lanyard hole as well, which looks great. Lots of room for that. Paracord or whatever you want to use. Something like this with a nice mirror. I don't know why, but it kind of screams at me a nice paracord versus leather, but you know, different strokes for different strokes. The clip itself looks to be attached internally, which is a nice, it looks like a dark stone wash on it, which is also very nice. I'd like to see how it's attached, and if it's using the same screws as these weird off-center ones. I can't see them wanting to do that. No, it's attached via Torx, which is kind of what you'd expect, honestly. Definitely a big fan of that. I'm going to grab the light to see if there's any skeletonization as well, internally. Which is some big pockets pulled out, so yes, there's some weight saved inside, which is nice. And then anything underneath that back spacer, I don't think so. And then you can see that Torx kind of underneath, which is awesome. Let's take a quick peek at the... Ooh, there's some little pockets cut out on that lock bar. That's interesting, on both sides too, so it's symmetrical. Interesting, and it's got a little edge to it too, which is nice. Otherwise rounded, nice and smooth. We've got a, I'm imagining we've got a lock bar insert, because I can see the over travel stop. Yes, we do, but it's kind of dropped down a little bit, which is interesting. It's kind of hidden down behind your sight line here, but there is one attached. And then the over travel stop so that you don't push it too far. And then, as mentioned, that clip, it seems to be hanging on top of the frame on top, so pressure applied to that should be no problem. But let's just test that. So we've got our finger on the clip, and it shoots right out. So beautiful. Love when they do that. Smooth bearings, like I said, nothing too crazy. Yeah, that's got to be 3mm. That's not a very thick blade. I'm surprised. I don't know if I've seen too many CKFs. They usually go the other way. They usually beef it up. So it's cool to see them kind of getting into that tighter tolerances. Nice thick backspacer as well. Stonewash, nice match. Very sleeper design. And typically when you stonewash like this, I'm surprised they would kind of mirror polish an edge, because it's just a little different from a stonewash. Because a stonewash is something that you carry and want to you know, put some marks on. Whereas a mirror edge, you don't want to touch, because the first time you cut tape, you're going to put a scratch in that, and that'll probably bug you, let's be honest. And even on that flipper tab, am I crazy in saying there's some hand-rubbed satin vibe on that flipper? That's cool. I also really dig the rounded kind of approach here. You know, just seems like a nice, easy find to get to. And then those off-center screws, it's just a, you know, it just looks cool. And it's funky, right? You know, if you're gonna use a screwdriver and try to screw those off, it's gonna be funky. You're probably gonna be having some slip-ups and whatnot, but it just looks funky. And I love that they're doing that on both sides of that that pivot. That just looks so cool. So cool. It's a very plain knife, but at the same time, it's kind of dressed up. I was not expecting that big mirrored edge on there. And then also, if you know me and you've watched the channel long enough, you'll know I love when they put CKF, or, you know, where it comes from is Shiro. I love when they actually stamp that on the handle versus on the blade. That's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, so I really do love that they're doing that. Otherwise, just very tight tolerances throughout. A real nicely finished knife. I don't really have a whole lot of issues with it. Very cool. You know, the backspacer here, it'd be kind of cool if that was kind of a little more, you can see there's a bit of a gap between the rounding edges. That'd be kind of cool if that was flush, but at the same time, whatever. You know, maybe a geared backspacer would be kind of cool to add, but once again, is it really needed? Or are they going for more of a design that's just kind of sleeper? And, you know, if they're just doing, you know, stonewash on these titanium scales, you know, you don't really need to do anything on that backspacer because it works. But like I said earlier, it's an interesting choice to go with kind of a darkened tie on that clip, just because it pops out a little bit. So it's cool. And as I mentioned as well, they do have that dip in there for your hand to make it quite comfortable for reducing hot spots. Just a really cool knife. Overall, it's certainly one that I think is going to be popular. I don't know, I'm filming this at the time. This knife came from, I believe, Blade Show and in Atlanta 2024. And I don't know if they've actually launched these in North America yet in terms of the, what did that COA? I'm imagining a few hundred will be available. So it could be soon. I would imagine very soon, because typically when CKF attends these shows, they'll just bring a handful of new models and they'll sell them off, which is so cool. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe they brought 10 or 20 or 30 of these. Don't know the exact numbers, but it's cool that I got number 6. Very cool. Super smooth too. They've been stepping their game up. Ever since kind of like the Evo 3s, they've really started to put more attention to detail on a lot of their knives. And it shows. It really does. Good job, guys. My question is, are we going to see people using standard screwdrivers and marring the absolute crap out of these pivots? I don't know. I would hope not. That would bug me. But at the end of the day, at least it's a flathead. And there's options around that, i.e. pennies or plastic. I can't see them being Loctited down or anything too crazy. But you never know. I also dig that the blade itself is kind of protected a little bit down there. And I think I see something written inside here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. Unless I'm crazy. MRBS. I knew I saw that. That's a nice little touch. Multi-row bearings. I don't know if you're going to see that or not. It's right in here. MRBS. Let's let the camera not freak you out. There you go, MRBS. Wow. I did not know that. Super cool. Maybe that's why the action felt so Shirogorov-esque. Very smooth. MRBS. Go figure. So cool. I would love to see what version of it they're actually running as well, to kind of compare it with the Shirogorov, but I'm not opening this thing up. Not even the slightest. Super cool knife. I'm very thankful to my friend for sending me this to take a look at and do a video and you know, show the knife. Likely, you know, probably around the time that they're going to launch, or maybe just slightly before. I don't normally try to plan these things, but if it kind of lands at the same time, great. If not, not a big deal. And let's not forget, guys, this is M398. This is not M390. And for CKF, I don't know if I've seen too many M398 knives. That's super, super cool, and a more expensive steel and a more premium steel than M390. So my understanding is to get a mirror edge on an M398, it's a little harder as well to do. So should be a tough steel, should be pretty cool. Very similar to like an S90V. Super sick knife. Nice crack out too, just boom. I'm already getting fingerprints on that mirrored edge and that satin finishing to see. Oh, that looks so good. So freaking good. And this little gap here, this little space, that's starting to grow on me a little bit. Kind of fits with the sweep, the big rounded angles. You know, you're seeing the big curves, you know, in hand. It's quite comfortable. There's no spots on the handle that kind of separate your fingers immediately when you kind of drop into the tract. And remember, I'm a XL hand, and I've got, you know, another full finger of room, no problems. That's a real cool knife. I'd be curious to see the full dressed version, what they're going to do with that, what that's going to look like, and also the price point, because I think these were $650 table, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off, $100 one way or the other, but I thought they were $650 or $600. And typically, the full dress ones are normally like twice the price. So if it's a full dress, say it's Damas steel with some, I don't know, zircon or whatever inlays, that might be a cool knife to also check out. And if that's the case, I'll try to grab one and do a video on that, because that'd be cool. But I'm really digging this, and you know, I just think that right there is the money shot with that polished mirror edge. That just looks so sick. It's so unique. And I'm sorry that I'm already putting fingerprints on it, but I promise you those will go away with one wipe with a microfiber towel. So there we go. Alright guys, well that is the CKF Barm, and really cool knife. And I didn't get a weight, but you know what, let's do that real quick, because I do have the scale right here, but I thought it was 4 ounces. Feels around that. So let's get that measured out. Before I sign off, because believe it or not, a lot of people really like to see weights on things. 5, so not even close to my guess. 5.3 ounces, so I was off by about an ounce and a bit, ounce and change. But 5-ounce knife, which I want to check the balance on it as well while it's videoing. Why not? Maybe there's a reason for it. Yeah, it's handle heavy. So I can already feel it's falling back. So handle heavy, which is going to make for a nice slicer. Very nice. Sick action. Light blade. 3 mil. Has to be 3 mil. Alright guys, well thanks for stopping by, checking out this cool knife. Check out the website for more, BladeZilla.ca. Where there's a bunch of CKFs on there currently, at least while I'm filming this, and this one will probably end up on there at some point when I'm not too lazy and have time to take some cool photos and format things. And actually, you know what? Once I find a spec sheet on this knife, I don't have one, so that's going to be interesting. Alright guys, appreciate you stopping by. Have yourself a fantastic week, and until next time, see ya. Peace.